Okay, welcome back for another chapter of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaja's I Am That. For those of you that are paying attention, you will know that I have just finished recording chapter 46, and I'm moving right on now to chapter 47, which is Watch Your Mind. Watch your mind. It's like watch your little brother. Watch the dog. Make sure the dog doesn't get into the food. Watch your mind. Watch your mind and make sure it doesn't get into trouble. Watch your mind, make sure it doesn't create any mischief for you or unneeded suffering. I guess all suffering is unnecessary. So welcome back, everybody. The questioner says, in one's search for the essential, one soon realizes one's inadequacy and the need for a guide or a teacher. This implies a certain discipline, for you are expected to trust your guide and follow implicitly his advice and instruction. Yet, the social urgencies and pressures are so great, personal desires and fears so powerful, that the simplicity of mind and will essential in obedience are not forthcoming. How to strike a balance between the need for a guru and the difficulty in obeying him implicitly? Nisargadatta says, what is done under pressure of society and circumstances does not matter much, for it is mostly mechanical, robotic, merely reacting to impacts. It's just a reaction. It is not something that is a pure intention. It is enough to watch oneself dispassionately, to isolate oneself completely from what is going on. It is enough to watch oneself dispassionately, to isolate oneself completely from what is going on. What has been done without minding, blindly, may add to one's karma, destiny. Otherwise, it hardly matters. The guru demands one thing only: clarity and intensity of purpose, a sense of responsibility for oneself. The guru demands one thing only: clarity, be clear, and be intense, and a sense of responsibility for oneself. Be mature, be your own adult, be your own guru. Don't be codependent on the guru. You can be devoted to the guru, but it's time to mature now and be an adult. Be responsible. The very reality of the world must be questioned. You must ask many questions as we do self-inquiry, as we look around for that which is true. You have to ask questions. Is this true? How do I know this is true? As Byron Katie says. What is real? Is this real? You become a scientist. You become a spiritual scientist. And you investigate everything, not from fear and suspicion, like, I don't believe you. Are you real? Are you true? No, it's more about curiosity and love. Love. Because you love truth, because you are curious, because you want to find out. God, who are you? Reality, what are you? Is this real? Am I this person? Who am I? What's going on here? So the very reality of the world must be questioned. Who is the guru after all? He who knows the state in which there is neither the world nor even the thought of it. He is the supreme teacher. Whew, that's a pretty high level. The guru is the one who knows the state in which there is neither the world nor even the thought of it. He is the supreme teacher. To find him means to reach the state in which imagination is no longer taken for reality. That just sounds so simple to me. We, right now, me, you, us, we are taking imagination to be reality. But it's just a very creative process happening up there. So please understand that the Guru stands for reality with a capital R, for truth, for what is. Not for what appears, not for what comes and goes, but for what is. He is a realist in the highest sense of the term. He cannot and shall not come to terms with the mind and its delusions. He comes to take you to the real. Don't expect him to do anything else. His purpose in your life is just to wake you up. I've heard Adi Ashanti and Muji, other teachers talk about, Tony Parsons, I guess, talk about this. They understand it, of course, but they have many spiritual seekers who apparently are interested in waking up and becoming self-realized, but they come to these teachers with all these questions about, how do I find a soulmate? How do I get a better job? How do I stop my stomach from aching? I don't know. All these different questions. It's assumed that if you have woken up to reality, that somehow you're like Google, you can answer any question. And I'm sure that there are some pretty amazing beings who might have that sort of omniscience, omnipotence, omniscience, all-knowing. They may be able to answer all these questions. But really, if you look at it, it's just a very simple thing. In one way, we're just talking about waking up to reality. That's simple. We're just talking about the shift of identification from being the imagined conceptual self to being awareness, being the absolute. Now, I'm not trying to belittle that process or that realization, but I think you get my point. Is the Guru, the supreme teacher, is just there to bring you to reality. Now, there must be consequences, ramifications, implications, reactions, things that happen as a result of awakening. So there are byproducts, spiritual byproducts. There are things that happen as a result of this awakening. But the main thing, the main focus for the Guru is just to wake you up. Just to wake you up. He stands for reality, for truth, for what is. So he's not going to go along with all of your imaginary problems, because in reality, they are imaginary. In the relative world, yes, we have to pay rent or go to work, or we have to deal with life. And yes, that's what's appearing. That's part of reality. But the Guru is trying to take you beyond the personal world. So don't expect him to do anything else. The Guru you have in mind, one who gives you information and instructions, is not the real Guru. I knew a guru like that. He loved to give information and instructions. Do this, do that. But he is not the real Guru. The real Guru is he who knows the real beyond the glamour of appearances. To him, your questions about obedience and discipline do not make sense. For in his eyes, the person you take yourself to be does not exist. Your questions are about a non-existing person. What exists for you does not exist for him. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. Then you will not need a guru to obey and follow. For you will obey and follow your own reality. Realize that whatever you think yourself to be is just a stream of events. That while all happens, comes and goes, you alone are the changeless among the changeful, the self-evident among the inferred. Separate the observed from the observer and abandon false identifications. Those two paragraphs were great. I enjoyed them a lot. I hope you did as well. So let's read that second one again. The Guru you have in mind, the one who gives you information and instructions, because I have this feeling that the child in us that doesn't want to be responsible for itself, it wants to put all of that responsibility, it projects it onto a guru, right? Like the guru told me to do it. You know, they don't want to become their own spiritual authority. And that's real maturity. There's human development and human maturity. And of course, there's spiritual maturity too. Now, I love surrender. I'm somebody who's always enjoyed that path of surrender. So I'm all about not my will, but thy will be done. But it doesn't mean that I want to remain as an infant in spirituality. I want to grow and mature and expand and, go all the way, of course. So yes, I surrender. I'm open to the universal, but I don't want to remain as a child who's just, yes, sir, no, sir, living in that obedience. That to me is not healthy. It's also dualistic, and it's not really serving you or this so-called guru. That's another process. Some people need that, I guess, apparently. At least they think they need it. But in reality, as I've said before, all of us, if you are awareness, does awareness need a guru? Awareness is. Awareness is aware. Awareness isn't doing anything. So how do you instruct awareness? Awareness, be aware. How do you give information to awareness? It's already perfect. It's already complete. So this awareness doesn't need a guru. It doesn't need information and instructions. I was just remembering, Mooji said something like, you don't need to do anything to become yourself, because you are what you are, but you may need to do something in order to realize yourself, to see yourself. Just as the mirror needs to be dusted and cleaned up a little bit, now I can see the reflection. But the mirror is always the mirror. It doesn't need to do anything to become what it is, but it might need some cleaning. So that's what the real guru is going to do. The real guru is he who knows the real. He knows the real because he is the real. Beyond the glamour of appearances. And sometimes appearances aren't so glamorous either. To him, your questions about obedience and discipline, they don't make sense. For in his eyes, the person you take yourself to be does not even exist. Your questions are about a non-existing person. Forgive me. Your questions are about a non-existing person. How do I do this? Me. And he's saying, there is no me. There is no me. So what exists for you, it seems very real inside of our minds. Yes, it's very clear to me. I am this separate person. What exists for you does not exist for the Supreme Teacher. The real guru doesn't see the false self. You could say that the real guru only sees oneness, only sees God, only sees truth and love. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. We take it for granted. I'm a separate self. And the guru denies it absolutely. For him, it is so obvious and so clear that there is no self in him and no self in you. That all there is consciousness, free consciousness. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. That's all he's interested in doing, is helping you, like clean up your perception so that you can see yourself as you actually are, not as you imagine or think yourself to be. And then you will not need a guru, for you will obey and follow your own reality. So the real guru, if he's a real guru, will take you to that place where you no longer need a guru. Just like a doctor. If you are sick, a real doctor will take you to that place where you don't need the doctor. He will make you healthy. So real spirituality makes you healthy independent. You're able to stand on your own 2 feet. You can answer your own questions. You can find all the wisdom and advice that you need inside of your heart. And of course, God lives in your heart, so we're not canceling out. Okay. Realize that whatever you think yourself to be is just a stream of events. That while all happens, comes and goes, you alone are. You are the changeless. You do not change as pure awareness, pure being, as the supreme. You are always the absolute supreme reality. You are always the absolute Parabrahman. You alone are the changeless among the changeful, the self-evident among the inferred. Separate the observed from the observer and abandon false identifications. Do your work. Do your work. Live in the world. If you have a family, a job, all of these things, do it. Nisargadatta did it. No problem. When you have a moment free, simply look within. As Nisargadatta has said, listen to the words of the Guru, which is Nisargadatta. Remember them, contemplate them, let them get at you, and all will be well. What is important is not to miss the opportunity when it presents itself. If you are earnest, you will use your leisure fully. That is enough. So when you have your free time, you will use it for the right purpose, or I shouldn't say the right purpose, but the purpose for which you want to live out the goal that you're trying to attain, which is realization of the truth. Whatever you may have to do, watch your mind. Also, you must have moments of complete inner peace and quiet when your mind is absolutely still. If you miss it, if you miss that stillness, that silence, you miss the entire thing. If you do not, the silence of the mind will dissolve and absorb all else. Your difficulty lies in your wanting reality and being afraid of it at the same time. You are afraid of it only because you do not know it. The familiar things are known. You feel secure with them. The unknown is uncertain and therefore, apparently, dangerous. But to know reality is to be in harmony with it. And in harmony, there is no place for fear. An infant knows its body, but not the body-based distinctions. It is just conscious and happy. After all, that was the purpose for which it was born. The pleasure to be is the simplest form of self-love, which later grows into love of the self. Be like an infant, with nothing standing between the body and the self. The constant noise of the psychic life is absent. In deep silence, the self contemplates the body. It is like the white paper on which nothing is written yet. Be like that infant. Instead of trying to be this or be that, just be happy to be. You will be a fully awakened witness of the field of consciousness. But there should be no feelings and ideas to stand between you and the field. You will be a fully awakened witness of the field of consciousness. Okay. Who is the Guru after all? He who knows the state in which there is neither world nor the thought of it. He is the supreme teacher. I would say it's he who knows that void, he who has been to that void, where there's absolutely nothing there, absolutely no identification. It can't be explained. It's indescribable. He who has been to that place and who has been annihilated by it in the best of ways, He is the supreme teacher. He is the absolute supreme. He is the Parabrahman, as Nisargadatta so beautifully was an example of, the mouthpiece of the divine, the mouthpiece of this cosmic force. To find him means to reach the state in which imagination is no longer taken for reality. We just need to watch our minds, which is the name of this chapter. Watch the mind, watch the imagination. It tells so many good stories. It's always got a movie going, right? And you're always the lead character. Are you the antagonist or the protagonist? Maybe you're both. Usually you're both. Sometimes you're the good guy, sometimes you're the bad guy. Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're the victim. So watch imagination, watch how it works. As Buddha called it, again, he called it the image maker. I have seen you, image maker. Aha, I have seen you, imagination. I see how you work. I see how you create false images, movies, stories. They're very entertaining. They're very interesting, and that's why we give our attention to them. But they are not ultimately what is true. Sorry if you're seeing this as well. A new version of Java is available. Remind me later. Okay. So please understand, understand that the guru stands for reality, for truth, for what is. If you want to know what truth is, the guru is your guy. He's the one to go to. He is a realist in the highest sense of the term. He cannot and he shall not come, I was going to say down to your level, but maybe that sounds judgmental, but he cannot and shall not come to terms with the mind and its delusions. He comes to take you to the real. Don't expect him to do anything else. If you don't want the real, don't go to the guru. The guru you have in mind, who gives you information and instructions, who tells you what to do this, do that. If you just want a father figure, or that sort of an authoritative figure, that's a different kind of guru. But the real guru is he who knows the real beyond the glamour of appearances. Your questions don't make any sense to him, for in his eyes, the person you take yourself to be does not exist. Your questions are about a non-existing purpose. Person, I keep saying that, a non-existing person. What exists for you does not exist for him. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. Okay, obviously my mouth is telling me to stop. This is my third video in a row. So thanks everybody. Thank you Nisargadatta Maharaj. Thank you Parabrahman. Thank you God. Thank you life. Thank you love. God bless everyone. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be at peace. I think now I'll go sing some bhajans, something just from my heart. I think my mind is telling me enough of these words and concepts, as beautiful as they are. It's time now to rest and abide in the heart, in the silence and stillness of being. So thank you, Nisargadatta. Thanks, everybody. See you again for another chapter of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj's I Am That. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace.